So would you say records today are too compressed?
Yes.
And do you blame that on the MP3 and?
No, no, it's not full of MP3. I mean, I've got some fantastic. I use Spotify, albeit with the increased with the enhanced quality. But I can listen to some stunning, like Ted Heath stuff recorded in the 50s, early 60s, with tremendous depth, and that's MP3. And people say, no, MP3 is no good. You have to use WAV, or it's got to be 96K, 10 million bits encoding. It bollocks. Something else that adds to space, of course, is the mixer. I think everybody knows I'm a great believer in transformers because of the way in which they will not cut off when they distort. It's just that the top of a sine wave is rounded slightly, which is very acceptable to the ear. Hearing is a funny thing because at both ends of the spectrum you get weird effects. Like, for instance, most hi-fi systems now have a woofer. So you might have two quite small speakers and the bass, and there's no direction in bass frequencies at all, so that could be anywhere in the room. So you've got speakers in front of you, and you're listening to a string bass solo, and the woofer's at the back of the room. We know that those small speakers can't reproduce the low frequencies from the string bass. They come from the woofer. But you hear them as if the string bass was in front of you. I can't hear much above 8,000 cycles now. But I can listen to some good recordings. And I know I am hearing 10,000, 12,000 cycles. Because what the brain seems to do, if you find something missing, it puts that back for you. So I know I can't hear anything above 8,000 cycles. But as I say, on some records I can hear it. And that's very similar to the encoding process from your original master tape or Pro Tools or whatever, the way that you encode it. If you get it all right, then you keep that depth. And it's that depth that makes the material live. And it's that depth that people want. And there's an interesting thing, I think, about young kids these days getting slightly bored, frustrated with the popular music now. And they're going back to music that their parents enjoyed when their parents were in their late teens, early 20s. But what's even more interesting is that recording techniques are doing the same thing. That's now why there's such a huge demand for analog mic pre's. It doesn't matter what what you record on. Many people now will use Pro Tools just as a multi-track recorder. So you're going in analog, obviously good A to D converters, you're going into Pro Tools, you come out to Pro Tools, you mix down analog, and then record back on Pro Tools or half-inch tape, a half-inch two-track tape. Just don't try and do any work in the digital domain.
And that trend for analog gear and going back to analog, you think that's down to people listening more to those classic records from the classic era?
Yes, I do, very much so. And they had this need. It's probably a psychological need more than a physical recognised need. They want that depth, and they want to get involved in what they're listening to. Particularly those people who want to listen to music properly. Whether they're on a train or walking down a road or something with their little headphones in. And again, you know, the quality of the headphones, you can get cheap headphones and have tremendous depth. You can get expensive headphones and the sound's that thin.